وَيَهَبُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ الذُّكُورِ. And to some people he has given sons. أَوْ يُزَوِّجُهُمْ ذُكُرَانًا وَإِنَاثًا. And to some people he has mixed both males and females. وَيَجْعَلُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ أَقِيمًا. And to some people, they have no children. I decided to quote that verse because people should know the choice of being a girl or a boy belongs to God Almighty, and all are equal before God. Let's pray. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, most merciful, most gracious, we thank you, O God, for the gift of life. We thank you, Ya Allah, for the gift of this meeting. And we thank you for the girls that you have given us, and also the men. You have created us, men and women, so that we can live together. Ya Allah, help us to recognize that it is not an accident that we have both genders. Give us what is good in this world and what is good in the hereafter. We thank you for the peace in the country, and we ask you to give wisdom to our leaders so that we can continue having peace. May the peace and blessings of God be with you all. Amen. Thank you. Shukran.
Asante sana. Let us appreciate them with a round of applause. Another round of applause in this amazing morning. Asante sana. Thank you so much, Bishop Morioki. Na shukran sana Sheikh kwa maneno yako hayo ya hekma na ya kutujenga sisi siku ya leo. Asante sana. So we all agree that religious leaders are highly appreciated leaders in our spheres. And one time, Dalai Lama alisema, my religion is very simple, and my religion is kindness. And we all agree that through religion, we can reach different important groups in our community, one of them being our girls and also our community stakeholders. So kwa sasa, ladies and gentlemen, for a brief introduction, so that tujue nani yuko hapa, nani hayupo, I want to kindly ask that Shinan Mbao joins us on stage so that she can lead us with a short introduction. But just before that, with all due respect, we will welcome Mr. Peter Munene, the CEO of Faith to Action Network, to give us the opening remarks. Makofi mengi sana kwake, Mr. Peter Munene. Another round of applause, tafadhali. Makofi tena. Karibu sana.
Good mornings. Our chief guest from the Ministry of Health, religious leaders who are present, colleagues from the government present, members of the civil society, I hear that there is an entertainment group. So members of that group, good mornings. Because of time, I won't take too much time, but it's very interesting what has happened this morning when the prayers were being said. Because yesterday we had an exercise where we are looking at who are the most influentials of norms, and is it women, religious leaders, or is it men, religious leaders? And how did we conclude? How did we conclude? I think from that table, without shying, how did we conclude? That men have a lot of influence, men religious leaders have a lot of influence when it comes to changing norms. And when we are looking at the issue of the girl child, when we are looking at the issue of sexual reproductive health, because it does happen that in many religious circles that men have greater responsibility or greater leadership positions, or occupy the most senior leadership positions, then we need men so that we can change those norms. And as I was saying, today we had two men representing two different religions leading us in a word of prayer. It is not that that was the design of this morning, the prayer session, but that is how it happened, almost naturally, correct? But one of the other things that is very, very impressive is that the two come from two distinct backgrounds. One is Muslim, and we have heard that both girls and boys, or men and women, are held equally and created equal by the Creator, okay? Now, Bishop Muriuki comes from the African traditional, one of the African traditional religions. It's called NISA, National Independent Church of Africa. It's among the religions that promote also culture. And when we are dealing with the issue of adolescent sexual reproductive health, we are dealing with both culture and religion. Two very critical components when it comes to the whole issue. And yesterday we had a discussion about how easy is it to discuss sexual reproductive health with young people, even at family level. And what ones do we use in our own cultures, in our own mother tongues, when we are talking about sexual reproductive health? And there were a lot of difficulties. There were a lot of difficulties. I remember our brother from Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, Hassan Kurundu, saying that in his community they say that thing. It is not mentioned by name. That is the issue of the whole discussion around sexuality, the whole discussion around sex is called that thing. And if with the current generation of young people, you say that thing, honestly, you will not have communicated to them. Maybe then it was communication and it was very clear to that generation. But right now, if you make faces the way our parents used to make faces, and we would know what that means, that here you're making a mistake, you just need to see the eye of your mom, and you know trouble might follow you, and you behave. These days, you look at them and they say, what are these faces about? Yeah? What has happened, mom? What has happened to the face that you are now showing? For you, you are trying to communicate. For them, they are wondering, what is this face that you are now showing? So, bottom line is that things have changed. And we are at a point where technology, culture, because of urbanization, things have changed. And when things change, everything else also needs to change. The way people approach different issues, and especially when it comes to issues around sexuality, sexuality education, sexual reproductive health, unless we are able to change and change very quickly, as the faith community, in the communities that we come from and the cultures that we are coming from, then we'll be overtaken by events and will not then have control over whatever is happening. I speak also as a parent. I have children, and they are the oldest. The oldest, The oldest is 25. The youngest is 11. I'm not going to say the number of the children. I reserve that information, but you can talk to me, I have no problem. It dependent on what is the interest. My daughter who is 11 and my daughter who is 25, the way I talk to my daughter who is 25 and the way I'm talking to my daughter who is 11 are two very different things. Because they have come in at different times. My daughter is very technology savvy, the 11-year-old. Whenever I see her, whenever her mom and myself are having difficulties with the phone, she will say, "What is the problem?" And she will touch the phone, and within few seconds, the phone is operating. And whatever I was looking for, I can see it. I struggle for almost several hours to get to where she has gotten in a few seconds. So tell me, that person, what sort of communication should I have with her when it comes to issues of sexuality? It needs to also to be very rapid in terms of the communication, very clear in terms of the message, because they are also looking at information on the internet. They are reading books that are not the same as they used to be before. And they have people who are, they have friends who are communicating the same issues around sexuality and movies that they are watching and interpreting those movies and other programs on TV and interpreting that information in ways that we need to really catch up with. So for the faith community, this is very, very critical because we are talking about girls, adolescent sexuality issues, sexual reproductive health issues, and we know that there are, for some of these issues, there are taboos in certain communities, there are taboos in certain religious communities, but we are also facing the realities that we are in, and we need to respond to the realities because we cannot live with our hands buried in the sand. During COVID, those that witnessed what happened when the children were home for close to 2 years, teenage pregnancy cases shot, and I believe evidence from the Minister of Health can attest to that, or even the National Council of Population and Development. Cases of teenage pregnancies went up. Even now, just because of last year, the break that was there, because now we are having 2 months break when kids are sitting for exams, national exams, end of the year. Around August this year, you can bear me witness. Around August this year and September this year, you'll start hearing cases of children who are giving birth around that time. Because if you look at November, December, 9 months, it's August, September. And possibly some cases at the end of July. So this, why is that happening? Lack of information, holding to the same cultural beliefs that somebody will communicate this information to the children, the parents expect the teachers expect the religious leaders throw it back to the parents and the teachers. So it is a ping-pong game, and in between, children are suffering. So because of this, then, we have Thamani Binti. And Thamani Binti is one program that requires that the faith community awakens. And not just awakening, but shows its full support and leads the way. If they have to be the bearers of the right, then they have to be the bearers of the right in this particular issue. We can no longer keep it under the carpet. We can no longer keep it under wraps. It has now to be discussed, and it needs to be discussed in a very open manner. My call to the stakeholders who are here from the government is that maybe to some extent the faith community might do catch up, and they need to be accompanied in this journey. Because it's a journey when they are also dealing with this issue of adolescent sexual reproductive health, or issues related to whether adolescents can access services, whether they can get sexuality education, age-appropriate sexuality education. When they are trying to discuss these issues, they are also confronting traditions in their own religions, their practices within their own religions. But again, what I've heard from them is that they have the courage to come together and lead this particular process. And since this is a discussion we have had with the faith community for quite a bit of time, my anticipation is that we'll see what we have not seen read by the faith community in the past through Thamani Binti. Thank you so much for taking time to come, and we wish you well, and we wish also Thamani Binti success as it's being implemented, read by the faith community, with support of all the stakeholders present. Thank you so much.
Asante sana. Makofi mengi sana. A stronger round of applause to Mr. Peter Monene. Makofi tafadhali. Viva Thamani Binti, viva. Mnasema viva. Sawa sawa. Viva Thamani Binti, viva. Upande huu peke yake, sawa eh? Viva Thamani Binti, viva. Upande huu, viva Thamani Binti, viva. Tunasema pamoja kwa imani tuendeleze jamii. Pamoja kwa imani asante sana. So right now I want to invite Shina Mbao, who will take us through the introduction session and also do a quick presentation. But kama uko hapa usifikirie kutoka, because later in our program we will be having an amazing performance from Ubuheri, Ubunifu Heritage performance group, who are led by Mr. Bilal. Na makofi mengi sana kwa Shinan tafadhali. Karibu sana. Is the PowerPoint ready?
Set it up. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I know it's early, but it's not too early, and the rains are not helping. But I'm happy you're here, and thank you for making time to be here with us to celebrate the work that we're about to start in our communities with faith leaders. As my PowerPoint comes up, I know we haven't had a chance to say hi to the person sitting next to you. So I want to give you this chance to know who is sitting next to you. It might be a network that you need, and I'll give you just 30 seconds to do that as I set up my PowerPoint and let you know why we are here. Yes.
Asante. I'm told you are also allowed to ask how many cows mwenzako ako nayo. Unajua CEO amesema hawaulizwi wako wangapi.
Thank you so much. I'm sure now you know your neighbor. I'll give you an opportunity to know your next table neighbor, but later in the day. Allow me to present from here. Maybe we can move this slide a bit so that people can see me. Yes, better. Okay. So, my name is Shina Mbao. I work for the Faith to Action Network as a program manager for this beautiful program that we're about to launch today, Thamani Binti. And as we were having our conversations, I wanted to ask, when people hear Thamani Binti, Binti means different things depending on where you come from, right? For some people, Binti means daughter. For some people, Binti means girl. And all those reasons resonate with the name of this program. We want to use interfaith action to propel the value that we attach to our daughters, the value that we attach to our girls within the communities, how we bring them up, the values we instill in them, the opportunities we give or withhold back from them. And most importantly, this project, unlike very many other projects, aims to appeal to the hearts and the minds of people to shift norms and ways of thinking that have over the time disadvantaged our adolescent girls and young women, limited them to realize their potentials. And some of these things are ingrained in our minds from birth, so we don't even realize we think and act the way we do because it is in our DNA, so to speak. So the difference in this project is that it's aiming to reach to the hearts and the minds, and who better to work with than faith leaders? Faith leaders who influence our convictions, our beliefs on life, our outlook on life, and basically how we think. So I present to you the Thamani Binti program. And I start by introducing who we are as Faith to Action. So Faith to Action is a Southern-led and Southern-born global interfaith organization. We have 139 members who are faith actors and faith institutions in different parts of the world, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe. And we reach more than, I would say that the number has risen, thousands of faith institutions in hundreds of countries. And why we were born as an institution is we have so many actors who work in the development space, but we felt there was a space for faith actors to contribute to the conversation. Contribute to the conversation around family health, family planning, sexual reproductive health, gender-based violence, and all the issues that our societies are facing. We felt there was a need to have a voice for faith leaders in the space of gender justice. As we preach, as we speak faith to the communities, what is the position of faith on issues gender? What is the position of faith on women who want to advance their careers? What is the position of faith on men who want to support their daughters to their highest potentials. So, and we work with different faith institutions, Christians, Muslims, Buddhist, Hindu, African tradition religions, and we bring them together, we capacity build them, we clarify their values and attitudes towards the topics. Because they are human, we help them navigate how they will address certain issues within their communities. And we also help reduce polarization that is happening very radically in our continent right now. So our vision is a world in which interfaith collaboration actually advances family health, gender justice, and peaceful communities. So why the Thamani Binti program, and why work with religious leaders? Over the past 3 decades, we have, in the development space, we have acknowledged the role that religions and religious leaders play in development efforts. May it be when we've brought in vaccines, like during the COVID time. May it be when we have brought policies and laws around various issues. We have seen the kind of influence that faith leaders have, and we cannot continue to ignore them. We have seen that people's belief influence norms, convictions, and behavior, making engagement with religion a potentially effective strategy in terms of changing some of these indicators that we've tried to change for a long time. We've realized that with policies, with laws, with programs that give knowledge, we have not been able to achieve the change that we want to see as fast as we'd want to. So we are trying to see how we can, if working with faith leaders to appeal to the hearts and minds again, if it's an effective strategy. Why again this project? 94% of Kenyans, that is almost 100%, see religion as a central part of their life. 94% of us pray when we wake up. We pray about every other decision that we make. We care so much about how religion, or how we will be seen as faithfuls in every action we take. And faith leaders have so much social capital that can be harnessed to promote norms and uplift women and girls, as well as other tenets of society. So with that, Faith to Action Network is going to implement the Thamani Binti program. And we are looking to demonstrate, as much as we are implementing, we are also learning. I know many development partners have attempted to work with faith leaders, our governments, our organizations, our counties, but what strategy works? So the project wants to demonstrate short-term impact. So we will apply innovative approaches, working with faith leaders and faith actors in our communities to change norms that have been there for a long time. We want to also build long-term resource in terms of research to understand how we can shift gender norms, how we can conduct social behavior change within our communities. Some of the things that we will learn from this program that I think are important for the development sector, that are important for government, we want to learn, as we work with faith leaders and faith actors, what are the most effective approaches? We've done community dialogues, we've had them sit in panels, but we want to know which, if you want to work with faith leaders to change communities, which approaches do you work with? We want to know which norms or issues is it most effective when we work with faith leaders? Is it on FP? Is it on gender? Is it on access to SRHR information and services? Which one is the most effective? We also want to know for which audience groups. Is it men? When we target men, is it better to work with faith leaders? When we target women, when we target parents, boys and girls? We want to learn that dynamic so that going forward we have evidence-based kind of programming with faith actors. So this is the project snapshot. The adolescent girls and young women are going to be our impact population, and we are going to try and change norms around them that limit the realization of their potentials. And we are going to work with faith leaders and faith actors of different faiths, but focusing on Muslim, Christian, and African traditional religion, which are prominent in our country and in the counties we'll be working in. And also looking at the reference groups, the parents, the boys and girls, the community gatekeepers, the politicians who have a level of influence on those norms within the community. So someone would ask, again, why adolescent girls? I know the conversation of there's so much investment in girls, we've done so much around girls, what about the boys? But we wanted to see that the data is still bad. Despite the policies, despite the interventions, despite the laws and the huge investment, there is something we are still missing. And we hope by implementing this program, we can answer that question. Is it the hearts and the minds that we haven't reached by the work we've done? And here I was just displaying some of the data, seeing that post-primary education, we only have 13% of girls in Kilifi having gone past high school. Just 13%. You can imagine. In every 100 girls, only 13 of them are going to go beyond Form 4. Looking at teenage pregnancies in Migori, it's still at 22%. Every 100 girls you meet, 22 of them will be pregnant before their 18th birthday. So that shows there's still work to be done, and there's still something we need to get right. So here we were just trying to show the kind of challenges that faith action can get to shift. The girl is facing a lot of challenges with lack of information, unintended pregnancies. We have mental health issues, lack of access to SRHR information and services. We have shame around natural biological processes, including adolescence and menstrual health. Some of these which are norms that we need to undo for the girl to thrive. And at the end of this project, we want to see an environment where girls and young women are thriving, they are empowered, they're exercising their rights, they are realizing their potentials, they are feeling safe and wanted within a community. We want to see celebration of births of girls. We want to see men and boys appreciating the roles that girls and women play within their lives and within the society. We want to see a shift in some of the harmful gender norms that we know that are happening. We want to see increased faith leaders' involvement in some of the social issues that we are facing. So on issues of teenage pregnancy, what is the position of faith leaders and faith actors, right? In issues of GBV, what is the position of faith leaders and faith actors? So the objectives are just 4 in general. Like I said, we want to co-create a knowledge agenda. We want to answer those questions so that we know how to work with faith leaders. We want to activate faith actors to be able to have a voice and an objective voice in issues around social issues in their communities. We want to stimulate interfaith action, where we have Muslims working together with Christians, where we have Christians working together with our traditional African churches, and together they are pushing one goal, and then we want to generate knowledge for both our programs, our government, and even our for future programming. So this is how our program cycle looks like. Because it's a learning program, we will have cycles where we plan, we learn, we co-create with the faith leaders, where they look innovatively in my community. Our fathers and daughters mentorship sessions or reconnection sessions might make men change their minds on how they see girls, on how they see women. And then we will test those interventions. We will measure them, learn, adapt them, and then we will scale up those we feel have large impact within the community. And we hope to generate a lot of evidence that everyone can be able to use. So we are going to use various approaches to identify the issues and norms in our various communities. And I wish not to belabor, but we promise to share learnings as we go. So as we go down to the community, every quarterly, when we engage, we will be able to give back knowledge to you and knowledge to the right spaces on what actions are working, how faith action is influencing, and we hope to see a change in the indicators for adolescent girls and young women, in the views of men and boys and other community members on issues of girls and women, on a change amongst the women themselves, on how they view themselves and their potentials, and to contribute to the development sector in that way. So I wish to show a small video, just summarizing everything we've spoken, and then maybe ask for an interaction before I hand it over to the MC. Oh, that seems not to be working. I wish Peter's daughter was here. Okay. Yeah. Technology happens, but I can assure you, everything that was in that video I have said. And what I haven't, we will be able to share and engage on. So that is Thamani Binti, ladies and gentlemen. Ambitious, different, unique, looking to bring new knowledge, new engagement within our development sector, to shake up things a bit, but most importantly, to make a lasting and impactful change within our communities for our adolescent girls and young women. Thank you so much.
Makofi mengi sana kwa mtaalam. Makofi. So Shinan mentioned numbers, and numbers are very important in program work. You know, you cannot measure impact kama hauna nambari, si ni kweli? So amazing work, and it is very interesting to note that we have only 13% of girls in Kilifi who transition from Form 4. That is very, very discouraging statistics, but exactly that is why we are here. Ndio maana inaitwa Thamani ya Binti iko hapa. Pamoja kwa imani tuendeleze jamii. Pamoja kwa imani. Unajua pia Bwana CEO mentioned about numbers, but he talked about different numbers. Where I come from, you don't ask someone how many cows he has. Mimi nimetoka Kajiado. Pia amesema asiulizwe ako na wangapi, si ni kweli? So in that spirit, allow me to kindly ask that we invite on stage Dr. Jane, Deputy Director, who will be representing Dr. Edward Serem. Makofi mengi sana, kijiandaa kuja. Makofi tafadhali. Alafu kikundi chetu cha sanaa kikae tayari. Makofi mpaka afike hapa tafadhali. Ile ya Moi, moja, mbili. Karibu sana.
Thank you. I believe you were born during Moi time. Good morning. Good morning once again. Is it that cold? I didn't get the memo. Where I'm from, it is still dry. So my name is Dr. Jean Patrick. I work for the Ministry of Health, Division of Reproductive, Maternal, Newborn, Child, and Adolescent Health. And I head the Sexual Reproductive, Maternal, Newborn Health section. Since I do not know who is in the room, I just need to play safe and say all protocols observed. I'm happy to be here. And the first thing I noticed when I got into the room, we had men seated, ready to talk about adolescent girls. it is not usual to find men wale wamejitolea to talk about issues that touch on our girls, and especially sexual reproductive health. As a ministry and from where I sit, adolescents are what I live for, what I work for. I've seen programs that change lives. And as Shinan said, why are we focusing on girls even at this era, 2025? Data does not lie. Our girls are still disadvantaged. But we cannot forget the boy child. So I believe, Shinan, as you move with the program, you will have something for the boys, even if it's just information, to ensure that they are in tandem. Remember, our girls do not get pregnant on their own. So there is a guy or a boy somewhere. We have issues that are still lingering, and I'm happy Shinan highlighted some. Currently, our teenage pregnancy is at 15%. We aim to have a single digit. It is not easy, but it is doable. We have issues of HIV, STIs. We know our young people right now, HIV among our young people is on the rise. We know the social issues that we are dealing with, the mubabas. I'm sure nikisema hivyo, tuko rada, on the same page. The mubabas, we have intergenerational sex going on, transactional sex going on. And our girls are in it. We have issues of female genital mutilation. Government is really trying to ensure that we eradicate this negative cultural norm. The figures are still there. We have pockets, especially in the Kuria area and where I come from, Kajiado, we still have pockets. We have issues of early marriages. Our girls are being married early. And I believe the value that we are talking about today is not counting cows or camels. It is that value that we need to put on that girl to ensure she thrives. We have issues of drugs and substance abuse. And we've seen our young people, their dreams being cut short because of indulging in drugs. Marijuana, we have the cocaine, heroin, and our girls are also engaging. I don't know whether you've gone to universities, colleges. Our girls are actually smoking marijuana, so we cannot assume it is not happening. Issues of sexual gender-based violence, very rampant, and our girls are affected. Our boys too, they are getting sodomized. That is an issue we need to bring on the table to ensure that we safeguard our young people. There's stigma around menstrual health, especially for young girls. And we need to ensure that we send out the message. Menstruation is a natural process, a biological process. It is not a taboo. It is not dirty. And therefore, that is the message that we need to take out there to ensure that our girls thrive and actually enjoy their womanhood. We have issues of mental health. We've seen our young people committing suicide. Our girls are not spared. We've seen suicide among boys on the rise, but our girls are not spared. Our gender norms actually affect the emotional well-being of our girls. Majority of our girls are caregivers. They take care of children. They take care of their parents. That takes a whole it changes the dynamic of their emotional well-being. And therefore, we also need to take care of them. Nutrition also, our girls are suffering. We have malnutrition, especially for those who are going to school. And we need also to look at nutrition as part of what we are going to do. We need stronger women who will be able to bring forth a healthy generation. And therefore, we need to ensure that our girls are taken care of nutritionally. As MOH, we've created a very good policy environment, very supportive. We have policies, we have the reproductive health policy, we have the ASRH policy, now calling it adolescents and young people reproductive health policy. We also have adolescent policy on its own. It captures the whole spectrum, even mental health, NCDs. And our constitution still supports what we are here for today. We have Children Act that protects our children, girls and young women included. We have back to school policy. So for those young people, girls and boys who, for whatever reason, they drop out of school, they are able actually to go back to school and continue with their education. Issues of mental health, we are also taking care of it. We have a national mental health policy, and it also touches on adolescents and young people. From where I sit, we also have a mental health handbook to support pregnant girls throughout that journey to ensure that they are well taken care of emotionally and their mental health as they go through pregnancy. We have a robust school health program, and I'm sure if you're seated here, you must have heard about school health. We do deworming. We do HPV vaccines for our girls to ensure that we try to prevent cervical cancer for later in life. And we also have robust programs focusing on gender-based violence. And all these are geared to ensure that our young people, girls included, thrive, survive, and grow up to their potential. Technology, we've embraced technology. I'm sure many people think government is old school, but we've embraced technology in all what we do. And we've realized the generation now, actually, if you want to get them, you have to be digital. They are there in those platforms. And therefore, we've also changed our programming, the way we want to reach them and embrace digital health, technology, and innovations. We have menstrual health programs to ensure that our girls do not miss out school because of menses. And in some parts of the country, they are also given free sanitary pads. We've developed a book specifically for adolescents to just guide them through that period of growth. And it's actually called Understanding Adolescence, a booklet. It's a small yellow booklet, very simple to understand, targeting or focused on the adolescents, both the girl and the boy. We also have a guide for parents and teachers, just to guide them on even how to introduce sexual reproductive health talks. We want to normalize SRH discussions to be held at the dinner table. We know it is not easy to start that discussion, but we have a guide for parents, for teachers, to ensure that we guide our young people, our adolescents, through that journey as they transit to adulthood. And the same, we have a package for the community health promoters, specifically for adolescents. As they go around into the households, they also need to ensure they take care of the young people and adolescents in those households. So we've covered broadly and in depth of what our adolescent people and young people need to get. And I'm happy to be here because this program, I've listened to it. I was just wondering where else is Faith to Action, and I'm happy and amazed that it's everywhere, with so many people focusing on how we can utilize that platform that our faith leaders have to ensure we move the agenda for our young people and girls. Thamani Binti, even when you translate it to English, it means value for our girls or daughters. Let us embrace it. Let that title mean something to you. Let it mean something to that girl. We are here today, and I believe we are here to remove the barriers for the girl child. Let us change how we do things. Culture is not easy to change, but we can start from somewhere. Let us put that value, not in terms of cash, cows, camels, but in terms of ensuring that that girl accesses education, they access economic opportunities, financial opportunities, reproductive health services, and let us ensure that they enjoy their rights as human beings. And I would like to stop there, and I wish you well, and we will continue discussing. Thank you so much.
Asante sana. Tumuongezee makofi mengi sana Daktari, Dr. Jean. Daktari has been a mentor to many. She has mentored me for some time, and unashangaa bwana CEO, since I was a young boy. Makofi tena kwa Daktari. Asante sana. So Daktari represents other strong women we need to appreciate in this sector, very important sector. Na pia kazi ambayo serikali inafanya, tupigie pia serikali makofi mengi sana. Na thank you so much, Doctor. Sometimes in our communities, the role and responsibilities of women and girls have been overlooked. Na tunapotezea majukumu mengi sana ambayo kina mama wetu wanafanya. It is so easy to note that at the community level, women do more. Like wakati tulikuwa tunafunzwa masuala ya tofauti ya gender na sex, we were told, we were analyzing the roles and responsibilities of a woman in an African setup. Na unaona, a woman does a lot, from fetching firewood na, making sure the family is safe, na mambo mengi sana ambayo we overlook. And our young girls must realize that in the past we have had very, very strong women cutting across all communities. Kwa mfano, watu wetu kutoka Pwani, we have to mention people like Mekatilili wa Menza. Makofi kwake tafadhali. Our people from, in fact, I have been told about a very interesting story about a woman called Fatima Al-Fihir, founder of the oldest university we have. So we have lots of amazing names. Ukienda mlima kuna wangu wa Makeri, watu ya mlima hai. Sijui ni mlima gani sasa, kwa sababu Kilimanjaro pia iko mlima ingine. Tuko na Field Marshal, Field Marshal Muthoni wa Kirima. We have a lot of amazing stories of women who we can seek inspiration from, and motivate our young girls and women from our communities, kuambia kwamba inawezekana. Tusi kwamba tu kila wakati tunazungumzia majukumu ya wanaume. Kaka, tuko pamoja? Ama kweli? Pamoja kwa amani, kwa imani tuendeleze jamii. Pamoja kwa imani? Pamoja kwa imani? Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Sawa, so we were to have an entertainment session right now, but due to unavoidable circumstances, we are going to have the panel discussion first, then after that introduce our amazing performance for the day. So kwa sasa allow me to invite Scholar tuko naye hapa. Yes, bila shaka. So Scholar will take us through the panel discussion session. Then after that, we will introduce our performers. Makofi kwa Scholar tafadhali. Mchangamfu sana. Makofi tena. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Are we happy to be here today? As we wait for the seats, I would want all of us to changamka kidogo. I don't know tutachangamka kwa njia gani. We are waiting for the seats. We shall have a panel of experts to just take us through a thought process. Get to understand what is happening. Get to understand where we are going and what is driving us there. We shall have a representative from the Ministry of Health, a representative from the civil society, a representative from the academia, and the religious leaders. So I'm waiting for the seats. I don't know what people are supposed to do as they wait. I don't know whether we are supposed to sing, to jump, to sit, or to smile. Whatever is appropriate for you, please do it. If you can smile, smile as we continue. If you can sing, you can sing our colors. Thank you very much. I can see our seats are ready. And now I would want to invite our distinguished guests. And I'll start with the faith leaders, Sheikh Lidhome. Welcome, Sheikh Lidhome. Sheikh Lidhome is a well-known scholar of the Islamic religion. He'll help us to understand what Islam says about the girl child. And then from the Christian fraternity, we shall have Madam Rose Joka. Karibu sana, Madam Rose Joka, a theologian. She'll help us to understand that from a Christian perspective. From the Department of Gender, we shall have Mr. Paul Okoth, who is the director at the State Department of Gender and Affirmative Action. Welcome, Mr. Paul Okoth. From the Department of Health, we'll still have Dr. Jean. I know, Dr. Jean, you're not tired of talking. We know you. You can talk the whole day, and we are privileged to gain from your wisdom. From the academia, we shall have Professor Tom Odicho, a professor from the University of Nairobi in the Department of Anthropology, Gender and African Studies. Welcome, Prof. From the civil society, we shall have Gloli Kadhambi from SRHR Alliance. As you can see, we have great minds here. It's only that we do not have so much time. We would have taken the whole day listening to these great minds. But we just will give our panelists just 3 to 5 minutes, maximum 5 minutes, to respond to the questions that we have. Please, if you have any question, just hold it. We'll ask at the head of the discussion. So allow me to start with the religious leaders. And I'll start with Sheikh Lidhome. Sheikh Lidhome. Faith communities influence beliefs and behaviors. So, from the Islamic perspective, how can religious leaders move beyond preaching equality to actively dismantling harmful gender and social norms?
Thank you very much, Scholar. I didn't know that I'll be the first one, but thank you for that. Within 5 minutes, what can I say about religion except say that, first and foremost, we should know the creator of anything or the manufacturer of anything. Take, for example, the Japanese. The Japanese is the manufacturer of the famous Toyota Probox. If you want to know how best to make use of the Toyota Probox, you must go back to the user's manual that comes with the Toyota Probox. The author of that user's manual is none other than the manufacturer. I'm yet to see a Kenyan who says, I am better than the Japanese because we are taller than them, we have bigger eyes than them. And so I would, instead of putting oil in the engine, I would make maziwa lala niweke kwa engine. Instead of putting pressure in the tires, I will put grass so that we don't have punctures. Instead of putting water in the radiator or petrol in the tank, nitapika chai ya sturungi niweke huko, it will not move. Why? You've gone against the instructions of the person who knows that vehicle better than you. And for God is the bigger example. We say that in Islam. God created us, created the world for us, created the girl child and the boy child, and he best knows what is good for them. So I believe that we as religious leaders, the gatekeepers of society, the custodians of the user's manual, if I'm a Muslim, the user's manual is the Quran. You're a Christian like my friend Peter Munene, the Bible is your user's manual. We just need to go back there. There is one problem though I see here. When most of us preach religion as a vehicle to take us there, as a vehicle to perpendicularly take us to heaven, that is where we have a problem. And that's where we have Shakaholas of this world, we have the Al-Shabaab of this world, because of using religion to take us there. I believe religion is about how we live in this world, how we make sure every creature of God gets their rightful place and justice in this world. So what do we need to do? I know the reason why Faith to Action has launched this project is because we have a mischief. In law we say there is a mischief, a problem that we want to address. Do we have that problem affecting the girl child because we don't have scripture addressing their problems or making sure there is gender justice? The answer is no. So where is the problem? Misconception about the scripture. What do we need to do? We need to correct those misconceptions. And I'll pick on one which affects me personally. From the community I come from, I know Doctor will be surprised when I tell her I share the county with her, Olkejuado. As Masais, there is female genital mutilation as a cultural practice. It is easier to deal with that as a cultural practice. More difficult when my brothers and sisters from Northeastern use religion to justify female genital mutilation. Yes, it is happening. And they will even tell you a girl who has not been subjected to FGM is not a good Muslim. I've gone through the Quran. I am a student and a scholar of the Quran. There is nothing that justifies it, but that it is a misconception. So what we need to do? Rewrite the scriptures? No. We just need to use the scriptures to correct misconceptions about harmful cultural practices like early and forced marriages, female genital mutilation, and other discriminations that our girl child suffers in this world. So I want to congratulate Faith to Action Network for choosing religious leaders as a strategic partner because of the power of religion. I want to end with this because I know my 5 minutes are over. The power of religion has been misused by people like the pastor who took people to Shakahola. It has been misused by people who have formed organizations like Al-Shabaab. So what we need to do? We need to harness that power of religion to ensure gender justice. And for me, the power of religion lies in 3 things. You can add to the list, but for me, 3. Number 1, it is very emotive. Nothing is as emotive as a religion. If I want now money from Daktari, I'll just use the religion, talk to her, and she will willingly give me the money she has in her pocket. It is so emotive. Number two, to many of us, religion is unquestionable. And I'm not saying we should not question it, but we should harness that power that the moment you tell somebody, neno limesema, God has said, hutaulizwa swali lolote, harness that to ensure gender justice. Finally, religion has its power hidden in the fact that it promises reward beyond this world. Pastor here and Bishop here, I'm sure you have built so many churches with your own money. If I ask you, nani atakulipa? Nitalipwa na Mungu. Wapi? Huko. I have built mosques also. Utalipwa na nani? Nitalipwa huko. Therein lies the power of religion. Can we harness that power to ensure gender justice? I rest my case.
Wow, what a powerful one from Sheikh Lidhome. That let's use the power that is in our hands to dismantle those discriminative and retrogressive gender and social norms. Thank you so much, Sheikh Lidhome. And now I get to Rose. From the Christian perspective, what exactly is happening? What can we do?
Good morning. You know, it becomes very tricky when you speak after the scholar has spoken. But from the Christian perspective, yes, I'll amplify what Ridhome has said. That the religious leaders hold a very, a very big state, command a lot of respect, because when we stand and say something, in most cases, whatever we tell people is what we follow. And again, I'll go back to what happened to Shakahora. He came with very good message that led people to whatever happened. One friend of mine told us to prove how powerful the religious leader is just go to a function when the president is there and tell the president to stand. You'll never stand. But when Bishop asked the president, can we stand for prayers? Even the president will stand. So that shows how powerful the religious leaders are when it comes to all issues, cut across social and also all the issues around us. Now when it comes to social justice and gender-based violence, yes, the Bible is the authority when it comes to Christianity, but how do we now go beyond preaching the equality? In Christianity, we tell people, apart from preaching, sometimes we preach water while doing what? Drinking wine. But we need to preach water and drink the same water. In this case, I'm saying when we have our young girls and our young girls becoming pregnant at early age, selling them off, it's quite unfortunate. And coming from my organization, I work for Organization of African Institute and Churches. You can call them independent churches. You can call them indigenous churches. What does that tell you? They embrace even the African culture. But now, how do we now bring them to a point where we do away with the retrogressive culture and embrace, what the Bible tells us to do? One thing we are doing as a Christian, apart from quoting the text that talks about, getting married when you are at a certain age, or not marrying kids when they are young, we are coming up with programs that are empowering women. For instance, when a girl becomes pregnant at 16 years, it does not affect only the girl, it also affects the mother. Because what happens to the mother, she will never go to social gathering, because every woman will gossip about this woman who is irresponsible, who has not been able to take care of a young girl. So what we are telling them, our people and in Christian sectors, let's embrace these women. Let's have forums for women to women, women to young girl, as well as also including the male champions, the pastors and the fathers in these conversations. Because when we put them off, we are not doing any good to our young girls and our women. Then we're also using the programs to including the champions, the young boys. When I look at my daughter who is 14 years, he sits next to a boy in a class, and you know, there are issues that affect young girls which make them, we have so many stories about young girls running out of school and getting married because of the stigma, which every woman goes through. But what are we telling the young boy? That your sister is undergoing, you know, this and this stage, so encourage them and support them. So we're encouraging people to have an inclusive conversation which the Bible talks about. We're also looking at the supremacy and programs which cut across our churches and our schools, because there are issues that in our churches, for instance, and I don't want to talk much because my bishops are here, and there are some issues that cannot be openly discussed in the pulpit. So what are we doing? We are developing programs for chaplaincy, that they go to school and talk with the kids in school. We have the youth program, they come and talk to people in the churches. That cannot be said on the pulpit. We have a space for that so that we can be able to reach our young girls and young women. As women of faith, let me mention about the Women of Faith Network, which cuts across now the Muslim and Christians. What do? We bring together all the young women together, and we have come up with programs, again, doing the text, you know, which talks about, you know, adolescence, the early marriages, the sex before you married, and it cuts across all the faith. So we are working and we are working with all the stakeholders, and especially the Ministry of Education and also the Rhine ministries in areas that relate to young girls and young adults. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rose. Rose is telling us that the Christians have got running programs, interventions that seek to address some of these harmful practices. You are saying that you have capacity building interventions. You are talking of, you know, other programmatic interventions. We are happy to see that is happening. Now, allow me to get to the civil society. I want the government to talk last. The civil society. Advocacy efforts push for policy changes, but shifting mindsets is a long-term process. What are some of the most effective ways to change harmful gender norms at the grassroots level while making the policymakers accountable? Over to you, Glory.
Thank you so much, Scholar. And that's a really interesting question from an understanding of how hard it is even for advocacy itself to happen. Like, for example, if you're pushing for a policy, we always say it's madogodhanio, right? Like you could move like 10 steps in front, and then you're like 100 steps behind. So advocacy in itself is a big challenge, but then when I look around this room, I can see allies that we've worked together in the advocacy space. I can see CSOs that we are, you know, in networks together. And so one of the approaches that I would recommend is working in networks. Like Faith to Action itself, as a network the way it is, bringing together the different stakeholders in place and ensuring that even the government, and I'm happy to, you know, like we are starting even with the government in this story. So in story yetu sisi wote Jian, Dr. Jian. So understanding that even as we move, we are moving together in unison, and that they understand the need that is there. Another approach that I would recommend in changing the existing norms and as well holding decision makers accountable is media, the use of media. Media ni kioo cha jamii, that's how we say it. And understanding that media is the kioo cha jamii, how media reflects and how media showcases issues that surround us. And where I come from, we talk about solution-based journalism. We are not only having media showcase what is happening, but giving solutions to the things that we see. So for example, giving solutions to, let's say, FGM, giving alternative ways of like graduating, quote unquote, girls rather than FGM, giving other ways that are culturally right and culturally accepted for, you know, like young girls being able to meaningfully being involved in the spaces that we are in, and as well being as well propelled, just like the boy child could be. Another thing is the use of the different community, I would say, like dialogues and as well scorecards. We've seen that, for example, I'm a Gen Z. So the Gen Z protest, for example, is a proof that if people can come together, then change can happen, right? And so in understanding that we can use, you know, like dialogues rather than the protest, we can use dialogues that would help change the norms that exist and as well hold decision makers accountable by having the communities at the grassroots level develop scorecards and you know, community cards that will show where we are, what we want, and how we want it. So at the grassroots level, I foresee change if we can all unite the different grassroots levels and the communities that we are in, and have even red card, for example, the governor whose county is not performing well, have young people write petitions and memos and, you know, talk about it on media through the solution-based approach. And through this, we can see change through from the grassroots to the accountability level. And as well, for now policy, for change to happen, but then as we are influencing in the changing in norms, we need to unite the entire community. We need religious leaders on board, for example. And now we know how in our country religious leaders are upheld. So just like he said, ensuring that we look at religion not only as a, you know, bookmark, the way we say, I'm religious, I'm Christian, I'm Islam, but looking at religion wholesomely in that, what then is accepted at the religion level is what we also have in our constitution, is also what we have in our policies, and ensuring that rights of every person are upheld. And in that we can be able to achieve gender equality and Thamani ya Binti itapatikana.
Oh, powerful voice from the civil society. Let's work together as scorecard, and let's keep our policy makers and implementers on their toes. Thank you very much. Now I get to the institutions of higher learning. They say that is where knowledge is developed and transferred. Professor Ondicho, I believe universities are the custodians of research. And I would want to know, we would want to know from you, what does empirical research tell us about the most effective interventions for transforming social and gender norms?
Thank you, Scora. I want to start answering your question first by telling you that we have programs in the University of Nairobi, particularly in the department where I come from, Department of Anthropology, Gender, and African Studies. We have a robust gender program, undergraduate, PA, Masters, and PhD. So those of you who are looking for opportunities where to study, you're welcome to join us. We also have another program, the African Women Studies, also at the University of Nairobi, for which I'm closely associated. So if you are not interested in gender, you can come and study about women, African women studies where you discuss some of these issues. I think having said that, I want to state that I will answer your question in 2 phases. But before I answer the question, I remember yesterday when Sina was presenting, I raised a question, I can't remember if it was Sina. I raised a question that Nyamira cannot, have such raw figures in terms of gender violence and so on. And the answer was, that is what research says. And so that's where we are starting from. And today, and yesterday, our presentation, revolved about this project that it's been informed by art evidence, So it's evidence-based, that there are facts, there's research, there's information collected that formed the basis. So the first question I want to address is what is empirical research? And to be very brief, that the research is about collecting and analyzing evidence, information about specific issues, about specific problems in society, so that we are able to enhance our understanding of the issues that are there. And of course, once we understand, the issues, then we can design interventions that are more responsive to the needs of the people that we want to serve. So basically, there are about 2-3 things I want to mention where we conduct research, and then I'll answer your question. One of the things where we conduct research is that we want to expand our understanding about the problem that we seek to address. I think I leave it at that. Number 2 is that once we have the evidence that we require, we have all the information, we have the artifacts, is that we are able to make informed decisions, and that those decisions that are based on evidence, and therefore we can talk about evidence-based interventions. And the evidence-based interventions are effective than interventions that are not based on evidence. The other issue is that we do research to solve problems, and sometimes we are able to identify what the issues are, what the problem is. And once we understand what the problem is, we understand what the causes are, we understand what the consequences are, and then we are able to develop solutions to that problem. Last but not least, I know there are many reasons why we conduct research, but I've zeroed in this because I consider them important to my discussion today. The last one is critical thinking. What do I mean by critical thinking? Is that once you collect evidence, you don't just sit down and say, I have this evidence, that is enough. That evidence needs to be subjected to some critical analysis. And once it has been subjected to critical analysis, it's also that research gives you different perspectives. And therefore, once you get these different perspectives, you are able to consider which one is more appropriate and which one is not appropriate, and then you are able to prioritize the things that you want to do. And so those are basically some of the reasons why we conduct research. So I want to respond to the issue of how we can use research to have the most effective interventions for transforming gender social norms. So having said what research does, I want to say that research provides valuable insights into social norms, because that's what we are talking about, and the gender norms. Of course, it can provide insights to other things, but the insights we get are situated and contextualized. Because we said if you can't collect data from a different place and apply it in a different place, there could be mistakes even if you are talking about the same problem in different things. So it enables us to evaluate different evidences and consider alternatives and come up with appropriate interventions for each and every area. So research plays a very significant role in changing social and gender norms. It also plays a very important role in challenging stereotypes, or the gender stereotypes that we are used to. The things we talk about, women are like this, women are like that, men are like this and that, we can start challenging them because some of them are not appropriate. But at the same time as we challenge them, we are able to come up with new perspectives and new ways of understanding the same issues. Because society is changing, probably the way we understood our problem last year is not the way that problem manifests in this year. So we need to do research continuously. So the other thing is that through research, we are able to uncover gender biases and inequalities in society, and of course, then those become the issues we address. Now, research is very important in raising awareness, and not only raising awareness, but bringing our attention, to the issues that are identified properly as harmful cultural practices and other challenges that occur in society. So raising awareness is very important. I don't want to explain that more in detail. But research also plays a very important role in influencing policy and legislation. I remember yesterday when we were asked to stand on the other side, people say policy has done much more to solve certain problems. So if policies and legislation has to be effective, then it has to be evidence-based. It has to be based on facts so that we legislate issues that require, like now we have a problem of femicide. You know very well that if you read through the laws of Kenya, I'm not a lawyer, the word femicide does not appear anywhere. So through research, we'll tell them, there's a loophole here, do something about it. So then it can be legislated and laws can be set and policies can be set to deal with the problem of femicide. There is also promoting gender sensitivity or gender and cultural sensitivity. I give an example because I don't want to go much detail. I grew up in a village. When somebody is passing around and asks, hey, is there anybody in that house? People will say there's nobody. Ni mama na watoto. That's a very insensitive. It's a very insensitive language. So it is through research that we can enhance a more gender sensitive and more cultural sensitive language that we use to address other people. We are talking about research. It gives voice to the marginalized people. You have women, you have girls, they are not able to speak themselves. If they wanted to speak for themselves, they don't have a forum. So by collecting data from them as a researcher, you come back and put it in writing. You are in one way giving them a voice because what you are communicating is their information. So you are communicating on their behalf, but also that information you are advocating, for change through the written pieces of work. We are also talking about, we have social movements. We have all these organizations that are coming up addressing gender-based violence, addressing, FGM and etc. Is that all those, they rely on research to support their work. Because when you say we are going to work in Kajiado and not maybe in Kisii or Nyamira, it is the figures, it is research that says this is a problem here, it's not a problem there. So, so basically, the organization therefore are able to decide where they work based on that. Last but not least, I know I've taken a lot of time, is fostering intersectionality. Intersectionality in the sense that through research we are able to start looking on how issues of race, issues that deal with disability, issues that deal with class, they intersect with gender and so on, and therefore we can change norms, but it also includes issues of partnerships, creating partnerships and collaborations between different faith actors, different stakeholders in society. And last but not least, I want to say that the problems we are dealing with are evolving and changing each and every time, so we need new evidence, we need new information to be able to deal with them. So part of what you are talking about, gender norms and so on, are things that cannot be changed overnight. They require time, and if we have to change them, then we need continuous updating of research data. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Now when you start talking with professors, you imagine you are suddenly becoming very intelligent. Thank you for reminding us that we need research in order to come up with effective interventions. Thank you very much, Prof. And now I come to the Ministry of Gender, Mr. Paul. We are saying that policies are in place, yet social norms still hold girls and women back. What is the biggest barrier preventing policies from transforming lived realities? And how do we bridge that gap from a gender perspective?
Thank you, Madam. Good morning. It is indeed true that we have a basket full of policies and pieces of legislation in this country concerning gender barriers, especially for teenage girls, adolescent girls, and all that. And there are local frameworks, there are regional frameworks and international frameworks that we normally anchor our programs to address these issues and barriers. But we realize that culture is something that is very difficult to change through pieces of legislation, through protocols and frameworks that are there for people who don't even understand them, for people who are not engaged, for people who are not involved in their formulation. Realize culture is what anchors a community, is what anchors a society. And that is what they define themselves with and give them a specific identity. Like FGM for girls, considered as a system of initiation, preparing them for marriage. The value systems that we may have in our African cultures value young girls to be married and get a husband. And the misnomer was girls were sources of wealth, bring in cattle for the boys also to get married and all that, and even sell this cattle to educate boys instead of the girls. That one has been a major challenge. So even when we look at the international frameworks that defined some of these local policies that we have, and we have to report to them through peer review, through peer mechanism, what are the steps that our Kenya has put into place, and are they conforming to international standards? So when we go to the Commission for the Status of Women in the UN General Assembly to report the status and development of girls in our country, sometimes we are at a loss because we try to compare the international standards. There are no international standards when it comes to issues of culture. Culture is so much deeply ingrained in ourselves. I used to have a teacher who used to say, you can't see and touch what is culture. It is under the skin. So sometimes it is just something that spiritually is with us. And we have to continue with. Secondly, even some of these issues, we've done several legislation, pieces of legislation, the Anti-FGM Act, all those things. We have the Children's Act. We have all those things that we should be implemented. But sometimes even if we regress and don't put some of these requirements into practice, what are the systems of legislation? Are they strong enough to provide convictions for what we can say was mutually consented? So that has been the challenge. And the best practice sometimes is just to come with a law. Yesterday I talked about firing of chiefs in Kuria for not preventing circumcision of girls. But was it even within their mandate, whatever is in those cultures? You look, we had not addressed issues like the cross-border issues. If we become very strict in Kenya, that we want to control FGM in Migori, they will just cross to Tanzania and do it over there because there's no legislation in Tanzania. Yeah, you get. So some of these things are to getting hold of the custodians of culture. You remember the patriarchy that really is deeply entrenched in our cultures. Men don't undertake female circumcision. They're not practitioners, isn't it? But who are the instigators? It is them. Do men undertake inspection of their girls that have been cut? They don't do it, isn't it? But silently they expect our women cutters to do it for them. And because of those extensions and expectations of probably if you look at the 22 hotspot areas of FGM in this country, or the communities that undertake the beading work, and this is where it is very much entrenched. So these are some of the intricacies we have to involve and negotiate with men. In gender development, some time ago, it was the issue of women and development, and then we moved into gender and development. We left out the custodians of culture, those who are the real perpetrators, who are men. And there is, even at the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, a shift for male inclusion, for some of these issues to be sorted out, for some of these cultures to be changed gradually, because changing culture is not revolutionary. You have to do it evolutionary and convince communities that some of these practices are redundant or rather dysfunctional. They are of not of particular importance in the contemporary societies. So for me, I think that is the approach that we should use. As much as there is legislation, as much as there are policies, but there should be a radical shift of community involvement, respect of cultures, talking to custodians of this culture for eventual change. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, powerful. There must be a radical shift, and we must engage the custodians of culture. Male engagement. Thank you very much, Mr. Okoth. Dr. Ali, I come to you now. And we are saying that health outcomes for women and girls are shaped by social norms. Yet, most programs focus on services rather than behavior change. What concrete steps should the health sector take to integrate norm shifting into health interventions?
Thank you, Scholar. That's a mouthful. First of all, I need to acknowledge the panel here has created a very, very nice foundation for what we are discussing about. And as a ministry, we are focused on health outcomes of men, women, girls, boys, and social norms. There is an intersection because we do not exist in a vacuum. We come from a society. We come from villages, communities. And if we do not take care of that aspect, then as health, we miss out the point. It is true, we focus on services. Even as a Ministry of Health, that's our mandate, to ensure that we offer services to our citizenry. But we do not do it without the behavior change arm of it. And just to report here, we have a social behavior change strategy for adolescents and young people, focusing on reproductive health. And it's actually out, and it's a it has all the strategies, what we can do to ensure that our young people, our girls, even the society changes their behavior on how we look at young people and how we look at adolescents growing up. So for Ministry of Health, for instance, if you want young girls to have the urgency to seek health services or even to seek health information, we have to empower this young girl, and we have to empower the people around her. That is the society where she comes from. We have to do it using the ecological model, where we look at the individual being at the center, and we look who is around, the immediate family. They also need to know so that they can support that young girl to be able to even make decisions about their own health. Behavior change is not a one-off or a one-day thing. It takes time to change behaviors of our society. It takes time even to change culture. We've had, it is not a walk in the park. Same with behavior. And therefore, as a ministry, we are looking at all aspects, and we are trying to fill the gap. We cannot do this alone. We work with other sectors, gender included, education included, the church included, so that we can tackle the issues that we have together. And who is at the center? It's the adolescent girl and the young women and the young men. I cannot talk and leave out the men. Male involvement is key. Even in our homes, who makes the decision? It is the man. We cannot leave them out. And especially when the girl child is involved, our society has ensured that women or young girls do not make certain decisions about their health. We have communities where if a woman is pregnant, even going to the clinic, they need to get permission. They need to ask for fare. Why? Because we've not empowered that woman to even make that decision on their own. We've not empowered that woman even to have financial freedom. And therefore, we need to work together. As much as we are focusing on that girl, we look at the people around her, ensure that we are empowering everybody. We need to change behavior step by step. And we have a strategy in place, and I believe it is available. What we lack in this country, as you've heard, we have a lot of policies. But for us even to change, we need to press that needle. We need to shift it so that we can see whether we can have different results. When it comes to policies, we have very good policies. Other countries come, pick our policies, and go and implement them. And they are very, very successful elsewhere. Why not here? It's because dissemination is also not very good. We talk about the girl, but they even don't know the policies that protect them. We need to shift. We need to ensure the girl is empowered. They know which policies are there for them. They are translated in very simple language that they can understand. And even with that, their behavior will change definitely. They will know their rights. They will know which act protects them. And therefore, they know even how to ask for what is theirs. And in health, they will know even how to ask and ensure that their health rights are taken care of. Thank you.
Oh, great. We have great policies. The Ministry of Health has got a social behavior change communication strategy. But are we disseminating? We are the people on the ground. Are the girls aware? Do they know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it? Now, I would want to open the floor for questions. And because of time, kindly allow me to just get 3 questions. I know I'm unfair, but I'll just get 3 questions. Yes, I'll start number 1 from Faith. Okay, whom do I pick here? Pinky, Punky, Ponky. The middle one. And this side. Please allow me to just get those 3 because of time. Let me start with Faith.
Thank you very much. First, let me thank Faith to Action for convening this platform for us to learn. Sheena told us we are learning. We are here to learn. My name is Faith Kasiva. I'm a friend of the Faith to Action team. Thank you to our panelists, I think, for very insightful conversations. And our guests, our chief guests, when you are doing your remarks, I just picked one thing from your remarks. You said, Sheena, you have presented us a very good program. However, you need something for the boys. So your immediate reaction was, it seemed a little bit skewed towards a girls-only initiative. My sister from the Faith, Women of Faith, also said we need inclusive conversation. My former colleague, Paul, said we need to engage men. We need to shift, what did you say? Norms. I do know the department has a bit of, actually a whole working group on engaging men. So there is engaging men, inclusivity. And Sheikh here, who is a scholar, who's worked very hard on these issues as a male leader, championing FGM. Lastly, I was sitting with Sheikh in the multi-sectorial committee on 2/3, not more than 2/3. So I guess my question is, and really, I don't know that to put our chief guest with all your experience on dealing with adolescents, girls, and young women. Because this is a learning agenda. What exactly can we do in this initiative, okay, to escape exactly what you picked, that this is a girls-only initiative, to reflect a lot of the recommendations that are coming from yourselves in the panel, but mostly out of experience of what you've done in running programs targeted to adolescents, girls, and young women. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faith. Let me pick the 3 questions. Dr. Ali, you'll note that.
Good morning, everyone. Just 3 questions. One, to the professor. You have indicated that the university mainly does research, and you've indicated the importance of research. So I wanted to find out whether there are any other practical initiatives that the University of Nairobi currently does to promote gender equality within its structures. And then to the panel from the civil society, you've shared some of the best practices and effective strategies for creating social change. So I wanted to find out whether there are any challenges that you do experience in your work, in your advocacy work, and how you are addressing these challenges. Lastly, to Mr. Koth, you've spoken about social norms and societal values, include as well as traditions. So I wanted to find out how you can create a balance between the traditions and values and the need for gender equality. Thank you.
Thank you. My question is to Dr. Lethome. We have, and even Madam Rose, we have the faith institution is a place, is a safe space for women and girls, because they say actually Kenya is largely religious. But we have women and girls running to the faith institution for protection, especially when they face SGBV or when they go through the triple threat. But our faith leaders are still not well capacity built to handle these situations, because most times when I run to you, my husband has battered me, you'll tell me go back and try not to put him in a situation where he'll batter you again. So how do we build the capacity of faith leaders to ensure that they are also aware, they have the knowledge of what to do and how to handle such situations?
Thank you, Faith to Action. Thank you, panelists. I'm Faustina Nilan from All Africa Conference of Churches, ACC Center. I just have very few insights that, to our religious leaders, that it is unfortunately that gender inequality is deeply rooted from our religious background. Yet, religious leaders or faith leaders have enormous potential in the public space. They have authority to question on the harmful practices that are happening in our communities. Now, people of faith being the majority in our community setting, what are the key strategies to use the pulpits in changing narratives on discriminatory norms? But also, how can these powerful voices of our faith leaders be amplified towards changing social norms, especially via using our pulpits? And to the researchers, the higher learning institution, that it is true that the research provide more insights on changing these discriminatory norms. But how do you ensure that the findings from those researchers reach the majority, especially the right holders, from the grassroots? Because most of these findings are being kept on shelves, are being used by very few elites, rather than reaching these right holders, the intended right holders. And lastly, this is just a thumbs up to our colleague there, Paul Okoth, concerning engaging the custodians of culture, that is men engagement. Yeah, really, for quite a long time we have been taking men in the face of GBV perpetrators. But now is the right time to use these men as the potential allies towards changing social norms, and as far as women and girls are concerned. So I would like to draw some attention to ASCC, whereby we have these male champion platforms from different countries, more than 10 countries, and these are the best practices and areas of excellence from Gabon, Malawi, Uganda, Nigeria, Togo, Cameroon, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And actually intended to have just 3 questions. And somebody was very smart, decided to ask 3 questions in one. That is really being smart. So I'll start with the civil society. Please, let's take about 2 minutes. I know we have more time after this. We can interact and ask some of those questions. So I start with the civil society. I go to the religious leaders. I go to the university, and Ministry of Health will be the last to respond to Faith's question.
Thank you so much, Scholar, again, and thank you for your good question. Of course, just like I said when I was starting, advocacy has never been a straight line. You'll always start at a certain point, move like really fast. But then at 5 kilometers, you're like, there's something we did at 2 kilometers that we need to revisit. And you have to go back again and start afresh. So of course with that, we've had a lot of challenges, but one cross-cutting, especially on the various approaches that I gave, is shifting priorities. So you'll find, for example, that these shifting priorities are from policymakers, from the media itself, from the community leaders, from grassroots level, where you're going there speaking on issues of FGM, and they just want bread. They just want unga. So you start wondering, will you start now the issue on FGM, or will you first provide food for them? So shifting priorities has been the main challenge across, because you find that a lot of times you have strategies that, you know, have proven to have worked before. You have tried, you have research in it, you have the government seated at the table, but then at the end of the day, the beneficiaries are the people to decide how far the program will move. Another challenge I would mention is cultural norms and the backlash that comes with the entirety of it. And thank you that we are speaking even on this panel about male engagement and about even addressing the various cultural norms that we have. And just like I said earlier, ensuring that we have culturally approved or culturally sensitive messaging for our programming will always ensure that at least we move a step at every point of our programming. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Please allow me to ask you to use just 1 minute. The religious, let's just have one of you speak. Just 1 minute, please. If there is more explanation, we shall do that during our socialization time.
Yeah, very quickly. You know, the question that people are asking here, and I like the question you asked. The religious institutions are supposed to be safe places. When you go to a religious leader, you expect to get a solution to your problems. Why is it not happening? The solution lies in one thing. We need to empower the religious leaders to know that they have a role to make life for everybody comfortable. Take this example. I am in the space of ending female genital mutilation amongst the Muslims. I've written a small book, which is online free of charge, delinking FGM from Islam. When I got into that space, some of my colleagues told me, shame on you, aibu kwako Sheikh. Umekosa kazi ingine ya kufanya, you only want to save this thing. I'm not going to mention it. Walitaja hiyo jina, to save this thing. They were telling me, this is not your work, it is the work of the women. They are both the victims and the perpetrators. Have you ever seen any sheikh with a knife going to cut there? But then the power you hold. I had now to use a strategy. What strategy? That the religion itself tells us one of the basic duties of every religious leader is to prohibit or is to enjoin what is good and prohibit what is harmful. The question is this: is FGM harmful? Yes. Then for every girl that is mutilated, you'll be asked by God. That is how I was able to bring them on board, that your spiritual work calls you also to protect people from harmful practices. So we just need to empower them. We need to sensitize them and empower them to know that they have a role in making this world a better place for everyone. I know that is 1.5 minutes. Sorry.
Thank you. Let me get to the prof, but allow me to ask you the question, and I need 1 sentence answer. How can we disseminate this information that we get from research? Just 1 sentence, please.
Thank you. We disseminate through seminars, conferences, workshops, publications in journals, books, and forums like this one.
Thank you. We shall discuss more about that when we get out. Dr. Ali.
Thank you so much. Let me respond to Faith. What can the program do to ensure that the boy child is not left behind? One is to ensure the boys get the information that is being given to the girl child. Information, we know there are some things that we cannot give the boys. For instance, sanitary towels, but they need to know menstrual cycle. They need to understand that information. We need to change our boys to become, is it the boy ally or the male allies? In whatever we do for the girl, we need to tag along the boy. Look at teenage pregnancies. As I said earlier, for a girl to get pregnant, there is a male individual in that picture. Research has showed, even our data has shown, our girls are getting pregnant by their peers. Actually, a high percentage is from their peers. So we need to ensure that we educate the boys. They need to understand what is going on with the girl. And as we educate the boy, they will start respecting the girl child. They will understand the consequences. They will understand the burden that the girl child has, and they will support them. The other issue, just one more. Issues of SGBV. The girl child is the one who is carrying the heaviest burden. We need to ensure the boys understand what that means. Behavior cannot change from one end. We need both boy and girl to be on the same page in terms of information, in terms of what is going on, in terms of understanding the consequences. And lastly, we need to ensure our boys understand the value of a girl. We need to shift from the traditional value that was placed on a girl to the value we are talking about today. We need to ensure that boys are not pushing our girls to get married so that the cows come. We need to ensure they support that girl child until they reach their, they get their career dreams. They get the dream jobs they want. They get to that highest potential that they dreamed of as a young girl.
Thank you so much. I know I've rushed you. You had so much to say, but we have plenty of time after this. All what you're saying is, this was supposed to be a thinking process, and we are thinking. We are talking male engagement. Thank you for bringing in those insights, and we shall continue thinking. And with this, allow me to invite Sheena to take up from there. Thank you so much. Thank you, our great panelists. We've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us.
Let's give them another clap. I think they've done really well. Thank you so much. On expounding the issues deeper and wider, and we are somewhere in our conversation. I think I give it back to the MC as we come to the end of our engagement.
Asante sana, makofi mengi sana. Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Tuendelee ama tusiendelee? Tutaendelea tu hata kama upendi mchungaji, unajua. Asante sana. Sasa, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to have an interesting entertainment session. I know someone had requested to have an introduction session for, individual introduction. I don't know how long that will take. I also don't know how long you need to prepare, Bwana Bilal. Mko set? So then we can do the intro after the entertainment. Tama, you had an opinion? We skip introductions. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Wengi wape. Haya, sasa hawa mabibi na mabwana naombeni niwaletee kikundi cha Ubuheri, Ubunifu Heritage Group. Remember, the icing in the cake will be the official launch of Thamani ya Binti. We have a very, very interesting way on how to launch this project. So usiende, usitoke, usiende popote kwa sababu we are writing history together. Naomba hizi viti zitolewe. Sijui nani atanisaidia. Kulikuwa na waelekezi wale wetu, lakini tutaendelea hivyo hivyo. So At the climax, we'll be having the official launch of the project. Pamoja kwa imani tunaendeleza jamii. Pamoja kwa imani tuendeleze jamii. Pamoja kwa imani. Asante sana. Twende kazi.
Ni sawa ulimbeba miezi 9, lakini jiulize, mimi nilimbeba miaka ngapi kabla nikupe wewe?
Wewe unajisikiza wewe? Nataka mtoto wangu wewe. Nimekwambia nataka mtoto wangu.
Fanya hivi, enda mtafute. Toweka ukamtafute basi.
Mimi ndo nilimfanya akatoweka au ni wewe?
I don't care. Toweka uende kabisa.
Nitaondoka hapa nikimwona mtoto wangu. Hapana. Hii kelele yote asubuhi ya nini? Wacha nikwambie rafiki yangu. Sasa huyu mume wangu anataka kumuoza msichana wangu mdogo. Na isitoshe, he still wants her to undergo FGM. In this day and age, who does that? Sasa, nikuulize, ulitoa hii wapi? Ulitoa hii wapi? Nini ulioa? Nini ulioa? Wewe nakuulizaje kutoka kwa nyanya zetu, from our grandmothers, we've always followed our tradition. Sasa wewe unajiona nani ndio badilishe mila na desturi zetu? What kind of woman are you? Are you jealous of your daughter? At the end of the day, hata umsomeshi, si bado atoleka. Yaani msinipande kichwani. Naomba msinipande kichwani. Wewe mwanzo. Si uende ukazae mtoto wako, umuoze na mpate tayari. Nini? Usina mtoto tunataka kuniingililia mimi. Usinipande kichwani. Mimi nakwambia mimi utanipana. Hautanitukana na mtanga olewa.
Wewe ukifungua mdomo wako tena, kile nitakufanya utajua ujui. Na wewe where were you? Ulikuwa wapi? You could have come earlier. I like you so much.
So the rumors ama vitu kwa kufikiria ni kweli. You've always wanted my wife, si ndio? Na wewe mwanaume kaa huyu hata jamii ndevu unataka nini kwani? Asubuhi na mapema kelele. Ni nini mnaulizana hapa?
Wacha nikwambie. Unaona huyu mume wangu? Anataka kumuoza msichana wangu Riziki mdogo. Isitoshe, anataka ati she has to undergo FGM.
Mimi naenda sema hivi. Siwezi support kutoka hivi. Na sijui ni nini wewe unakusumbuaga, huwezi kaa kwako kwa nyumba. Ni nini unakusumbuaga? Nini? Na ndio hivyo ndio unaona hata ndio maana hata hatuna watoto. Nadhani Mungu anatufanya. Kwa yale wewe unataka kufanya huko wewe mwenyewe.
Mimi naitwa Mwalimu Ndani. Nimetoka shule ambayo Riziki nasoma. Na kutoka jana Riziki atakuwa akipata shule.
Bwana mtoto wako wapi?
Since yesterday. Na leo tuko na event hapo Hilton Hotel. Na Riziki anafaa karibu speech ambayo ni muhimu sana. Unaweza tuambia kwa wapi?
Bwana wakili umekocha huko bwana tuwaoni.
Ask her father.
Hafadha. We are asking you, wapi mtoto? Muulize yeye. Yeye. Wapi mtoto?
Wacha niwaambie. Unaona huyo Riziki alitusikia tukiwa na baba yake tukiongea, tukiagi kuhusu hiyo story anataka kutufanya.
Gani?
Mtoto aolewe. Isitoshe, ati she has to undergo FGM. Jamani, mtoto wangu mdogo, daktari.
Ati sisi kama neje unataka mtoto akeketwe? Wewe unajua kitu kama hivyo ndio sisi tunapigana nacho. Mimi nafanya kazi na hii organization inaitwa Faith to Action. Tumeshikana na watu wa dini tofauti ili tuweze kuhamasisha watu wawachane na vitu kama hizi. Wewe msema na kichwa yako nzuri. Unataka mtoto akeketwe aolewe na achamaliza shule. Sikiza na usikize vizuri. Kwani nilikuwa nafanya nini? Tuko na mila na desturi zetu. Hizo mila zimepitwa na wakati. Lazima tufuate. Zimepitwa na wakati. Ati unasema nini? Rudia tena kidogo umesema. Rudia! Tuko na mila na desturi. Na desturi. Yes. Okay. Wewe mzee. Hata una adabu kufungua hiyo mdomo yako. Wewe unajua kukeketa mtoto ni hatia. Ajui sheria. Ni hatia ni hatia kwa sheria, unasikia? Afande, mimi naona huyu mjamaa twende tumpeleke ndani akule ukali na sukuma ile mafuta. Umesema ni mila na desturi. Wewe unajua mila na desturi kama hizo ambazo zimepitwa na wakati, hatutaruhusu kama serikali kuendelea, unasikia? Hata sisi organization yetu tumekataa. Sasa nani amesema? Okay, nani amesema bana? Si mimi sijasema. Si ni wewe ulikuwa tu hapa ulituambia mila. Hapana, mimi hapana. Umebadilisha nia? Mimi sijasema. Wewe. Ukiendelea hivyo tungekufinya vitunguu, unasikia wewe? Wewe. Sasa mimi naona ni vizuri tuanze kutafuta msichana. Wewe tutasaidiane bwana. Wewe unasema nini?
How are you going to survive? Who is going to fight for the girls, right?
Na ni kweli. Bako. Lazima tutafute riziki. Tutafuteni riziki jamani. Kwa sababu riziki ametusaidia. Siku hizi hata wamama tunaweza ongea mbele ya bwana zetu. Tutafute riziki.
Kwa hivyo msichana amefanya kitu ya maana.
Atafanya kitu ya maana sana.
Ni vizuri tutafute huyo msichana. Maana unajua tulifika kule kwa hoteli pale Hilton. Tulipata buffet. Si tukakula. Tukakula bwana. Tukijua tunakuja kusikiza maneno mengine kutoka. Riziki. Riziki my daughter. Wow. Kuna nini?
Yaani sasa ni mtoto wako.
Baba yako pia ni comedian. Riziki umekuwa wapi wewe? Unajua tumekuja hapa tunaambiwa tusikie ulisikia nini ukatoweka. Sasa umepatikana ulikuwa wapi?
Mnavyoniona sina furaha moyoni. I overheard my mom and dad saying that they will marry me off at the age of 16. Na watanifanyia ile kitu ya female genital mutilation. Being the voice of the girl child, I wonder on whose hands are we safe in?
You are not worry. Tumekuja, you are safe.
If I'm not in the safe hands of my mom and dad, then I think Thamani ya Binti itanisaidia.
Mtoto wako wewe
Hakuna akili
hapo
hapa.
wewe inform. Sasa kule watu wameshakula wameshiba, nataka tuende tudoe ile viti.
Bwana Bilal, kidogo. Naona before tuende hivyo. Ni vizuri kwanza tupige speech. Tunataka kuna vitu tuongeza moja ama mbili. Kama iko chonjo, proceed.
Huko naona mtami iko hapo. Huko na.
Yes, I have.
Hebu toa tusikie tukakue. Hata naona ni kama wako na microphone hapa. Mlitoa microphone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Riziki, and I stand before you today not just as a girl, but a voice of millions of girls whose dreams are stolen by harmful tradition like female genital mutilation, early marriage, and the degradation of women. I ask, why should a girl's future be cut short before she has even begun to dream? Why should her body be harmed in the name of culture? Why should she be forced into marriage when she should be in school? A girl is not a burden. She is not a tool for trade. She is a leader, a doctor, an engineer, and a change maker. Given a chance, she can transform her community, her country, and the whole world. Let us stand together. Let us educate, empower, and protect our girls. The time of change is now. Say no to female genital mutilation. Say no to early marriage. Say yes to education. Say yes to future where every girl is free. To whoever she dreams to be. Ni muhimu tuelewe Thamani ya Binti.
Wewe sasa wacha nikuulize, hii kisungu yote ulikuwa unataka ipotelee ndani ya nyumba ya mwanaume fulani? Wewe wacha. Twende. Twende tukaone wakimba. Usisikie tena unasikia? Unataka tukupange ama tukutenge? Wacha nisimame. Mama, endelea kushikilia hapo sawa sawa. Huyu mzee anafaa kuoneshwa njia sawa sawa. Akileta shida piga piga. Nitapiga. Serikali iko tayari kujibu na
Tunaenda wapi? Tuende nyumbani baby. Sasa hizi ndio nimekuwa baby, si ndio? Tuwe nyumbani. Pambana na
Mama Riziki. What's up? Mtoto amepatikana. Si tuende tukasherekee?
Hebu nikuulize. Uko na kiliti mambo wewe?
Niko sawa kabisa.
Unaita nani?
Abebo yawa. Twende.
Abebo. Ulikuwa wapi? Huyu ni nani?
Abebo, wacha hizo bana.
Waachana na mimi niende nikasikilize speech ya mtoto wangu. Wewe huna mtoto.
Makofi mengi sana, makofi. Wacheni wivu bana, makofi kwa ubuheri. Makofi tena. Asante sana, sijui kama wangejitambulisha lakini najua ni kikosi kikubwa sana. Asante sana Bwana Bilal na kikosi. Sasa this is a time we've all been waiting for. Mko tayari? Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Asante sana. So we'll have a quick launching session. Our IT guys, you kama wako tayari, because we will have a special countdown. So sijui tukate keki kwanza ama countdown kwanza ama countdown kwanza kisha tukate keki. What do you suggest? Madam hapa anakaa kama anaweza kuja na suggestion. Tule keki ama countdown kwanza? We count down, okay. So our IT guys, you kama mtaalam wetu, naona ako set, right? Iwashe pia kwa ile side ingine. Elijah. Inawaka kule pia. Okay. Sawa, tusimame. Let us stand up, ladies and gentlemen. So our countdown hits to 10. Are you ready? Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Viva msichana power, viva! Asante sana. So in the spirit of making sure that our communities are stronger together, our girls are more protected, our religious leaders are leading the fight towards a free society, we are going to count down up to 10 to 1 to mark the official launch of the Thamani Binti project, which will be implemented in Kilifi and Migori. Are you ready? Tuko tayari. Haya, twende kazi. You count with me, okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wapi makofi sana. It's official, Thamani ya Binti project. Pamoja kwa amani tuendeleze jamii. Pamoja kwa amani. Pamoja kwa amani. Pamoja kwa imani. Inawezekana kweli. Very beautiful faces of what we envision the project will be, engaging our young girls, our communities, and indeed, pamoja kwa imani, tuendeleze jamii. Makofi mengi sana. Makofi mengi tena. Thank you so much. So just while standing, I want to kindly invite Shina so that she can guide us on the cake cutting ceremony. Tuendelee. Karibu sana.
I would like to invite representative of us to help us cut this cake as a representation of the beginning of this journey. So our county government from Kilifi, our county government from Migori, our organization leadership, Peter, Christina, Riziki herself, very important in this, Bishop Morioki. I want for it to symbolize all the people who are going to work together to make this a success. So I'd ask you to come in front, Sakar, Olfat, yes, Kilifi County, I don't see you. Oh, Migori County. Who am I missing? Who is not represented? Boy child. Male Riziki anaitwa aje? Razak, si Kilonzo. Maybe we can have someone representing the male, young boys and girls. No, boys and girls, young men. Faustina, maybe you can represent the faith actors. And yes, this feels like it. Does it feel like we can do it? Yes. Does it feel like we can do it looking at the team? Yes, I'm feeling very confident. And this is to assure you we shall keep you updated. We shall let you know if it's working. And we shall work together on this. So over to you, MC.
I thought we were taking it to the last step, but anyway, we will do it. Excuse, karibu sana. So we will just sing our song ya kata keki. Okay. Sawa, now you are asked kindly to nyinyi hamuonekani. Kwa hivyo tu either twende nyuma hapo juu, nazaenda juu. Exactly. So mkataji rasmi ni nani? Tutashikania maybe CEO you can guide. Mnaweza shikania pia na serikali, mwakilishi wa serikali na viongozi wa dini kwa pamoja, kisha tutahesabu kwa tukikata polepole. Our countdown guy uko wapi? Tuendelee tunayo. As the photos go through, exactly. Tuishike kwa pamoja. Asante sana. Haya, sawa. Kata keki, kata usiogope. Kata keki, kata. Makofi mengi sana. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Viva Thamani ya Binti, viva! Asante, na mkumbuke lazima tukule keki before tutoke hapa. As we get some music. Asante sana DJ. Asante. Tuende kazi, asante sana. Thank you so much for the music. Asante. Goja kidogo. Shina. Hii keki inafaa kukatwa, tukule keki hapa, sio kesho. Asante sana, twende kazi. Guide us. Asante. Good music. Hao wakataji ndio wa kwanza, ndio wakulaji wa kwanza. Asante sana. Kwa sababu Faith to Action Network na mwakilishi wa serikali sio kwa wapi. Faith to Action haikabidhi rasmi keki ya kwanza kwa serikali. Our CEO utamlisha serikali wa kwanza as a main partner, main implementation partner. Kisha mwakilishi wa viongozi wa dini atafuatia kwa kulishwa. After the religious leaders, we'll have the county representatives for Kilifi and Migori. Ndio huyo. Haya, mnaficha picha. Asante sana. So as a key stakeholder and a very, very important partner, Faith to Action Network realizes how important it is to engage the government. Next, I think it's Migori County. Migori County watalishwa vile vile as a key stakeholder in the implementation for Faith to Action Network. Migori County, asante sana. Kilifi pia wasikae mbali. Kilifi, where's Kilifi? Oh, sawa. Migori wanasema. Migori County. Then we have Kilifi. Kilifi County. Our religious leaders pia naomba wakaribie. Mshikie keki tafadhali alishwe. Kilifi County, asante. Thank you Kilifi. Thank you Kilifi. Then we will also have our religious leader Sheikh Lethome. Alienda wapi? Sheikh. Hata wasanii wetu walishwe keki. Wako wapi? Bilal, njoo. Kweli viongozi wa dini wamesema pia watamlisha bwana CEO na deputy CEO pia unaweza kuja. Haya, twende kazi. Haya, mlishe basi. Mlishe kiongozi. Just come. We also want to have a special cake eating session. Haya, mlishe pia na madam bila shaka. Ni sawa. Haya. There you go. Thank you. Na msanii yuko hapo, bwana CEO. Wasanii ndo hao. Wakusaidie sasa au? Asante. Thank you. Sawa. Asante sana. Now we can have some help from the hotel. Excuse. Jackson, we can have someone distribute the cake to everyone. Tuzungushe keki kwa kila mtu. Asante sana. Asante sana. Zungusha tu keki. Then after around 5 minutes, Bishop Muriuki utatufungia kwa maombi bila shaka. DJ. Asante. So I don't know who is our photography lead. We can have a photo session after the prayers. So you will guide us, and maybe Shena and McKenna will also guide on how the photos will be taken. But for now, some silence for the closing prayers. Thank you.
Atumshukuru Mungu. Katika jina la Mungu Baba, Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu, twaja mbele yako kwa kuwa pamoja nasi, tukimkabidhi mikononi mwako CEO Mr. Kariuki ambaye pia ametuongoza vizuri, na walimu wetu wote, facilitators ambao tulikuwa na wao, na vile vile hata na masheikh na hata profesa ambao pia walituongoza katika kuelewa zaidi katika mambo ya agenda. Na Mwenyezi Mungu tunakuomba tunapotoka kikao hiki, endelea kubariki Faith to Action Network ili tuweze kuwa kitu kimoja, na wakati wowote ambapo tutakapokuwa tukiitwa pale popote pale kuwa pamoja nasi. Tupe siku yenye baraka, tuongoze, tupe neema yako, tupe wema utaokao kwako, na tupe yale ambao itatufunua kiakili na vile vile kimwili na hata kiroho. Na ukifanya hivyo Mwenyezi Mungu tutakushukuru, na tunaendelea kuona ya kwamba ulituumba sisi wanaume na wanawake tukiwa katika mfano wako, katika kitabu cha Mwanzo ukurasa wa 1. Tunakuomba Mwenyezi Mungu kuwa pamoja nasi na utubariki, na siku yote ya leo iwe ya baraka. Bariki organization hii ya Faith to Action Network ili tuweze kuendelea mambo mazuri na kuifanya Kenya hii yetu kuendelea na ulimwengu kwa jumla. Na ni katika jina la Mungu Baba, Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu. Amina.
Asante sana. We can have our photos. I don't know who is the photo director, but I guess McKenna will guide us accordingly on the photo session. Okay. Tupate mziki, tuendelee na mziki basi na tufurahie keki. Shukran.
Hello everyone. Hi. My name is Alex Dunamis from Dunamis Digital. I have my team here, my photographer Arnold and my videographer Joe. Where is Joe? So Joe is here. So Arnold will be taking photos, and also Joe is taking some videos for social media. We'll be able to make something very nice. So whenever you see that camera, please make sure that you give him your best energies, okay? So some guidance on the photos that are to be taken, Sheena and Michelle. Some guidance on that? Okay, we can first do a group photo. Yeah, so maybe we can all come to the front and do a group photo as we get some guidance on the different photos that should be taken. But you're gonna have the cake first. So immediately you're done munching on the cake, kindly just come to the front. Let's do this group photo. Yeah. Yes. Kindly.